Lichter is the master development under Hall of Fame Village LLC, partnership with the Professional Football Hall of Fame. I think if you officials in North Canton could have seen down the road that he was going to be heavily engaged in the Hall of Fame Village project, which, if it gets completed, will be probably over $1 billion. Probably would have thought twice about having Stu Lichter come into North Canton and redevelop the Hoover complex.
So the question is,
the point of the question is that that's really a much bigger project, takes a lot of time, and wittingly or unwittingly, projects like North Canton just are not going to carry quite the clout by quite a bit.
We're a much smaller project.
Right. So where I'm heading with this is that if you had known that in advance, that was going to happen, a little different decision as to who you'd had to come in and help you salvage the Hoover complex?
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have changed my decision at all.
Wouldn't it?
No, because really, when you look at the first phase of the Hoover district, it has been an incredible success. An incredible success. But I think one of the driving forces is that we did have a $5 million Job Ready Sites grant, which was a major source of the funding for the first phase. And so a lot of the financing was in place, at the start of the project. And then when you look at a larger project like the Pro Football Hall of Fame, there's a lot of moving parts. There's, when you're talking about $1 billion project, I mean, that's a very, very impressive project with a lot of entities that are involved. And so, we can understand that, developers have, various priorities just like we do in the city of North Canton. And we're confident that...
I mean, is North Canton suffering because his priority is the Hall of Fame and not the... finishing up the Hoover project?
I mean, that would be something that he would have to answer. I mean, a lot of people...
Well, what's your perception?
I would say that, they got a lot on their plate with the Hall of Fame. Clearly, they've got strict timelines. When you have the incredible operation of the Enshrinement Festival, the Pro Football Hall of Fame Enshrinement Festival, every year. So they've got really strict deadlines that they have to meet. Here on this project, we don't have those same annual strict deadlines for them to meet. So if this project, was delayed for a year, 2 years, 3 years, which it has, we don't like it. But at the same time, there's no loss to the city. It's not like we have outstanding loans or debts or it's not creating a problem for the city in that respect. It is disappointing and it decreases our expectation a little bit. You start to become a little bit more when they say, hey, we're going to get this done. They're like, well, okay, we'd like to see some action. And so, again, when you look at their ability, IRG has incredible ability to bring a lot of success to a community because we've seen it.
But IRG's had some problems across the nation too.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see the problems and the delays in the Hoover District project, which I have not been quiet about that.
No, you haven't.
But the good news is that if they meet the requirements, we can move ahead with the project. I look at myself as somebody who's very realistic and also at the same time optimistic. I think when I first started as mayor, my optimism clearly exceeded my my realism. And I think now, after being in public service, gosh, this is my 18th year, you learn to balance that realism with the optimism. And the realism is that the building code, the fire code, and the EPA regulations, those are non-negotiable. Those are going to be met, one way or another. The optimism is that we still have a viable second phase at the Hoover District, and this can be completed, and we're looking forward to it. I'm confident because they've already invested, at least $12 to $20 million in the second phase. I'm very confident that they're not going to just leave that sit, that there is truly an incentive for them to bring that project to completion to at least some level.
And you're not closing the door on the possibility of more public support for the project?
Well, when you look at public support,
I'm talking about, like you talked about the CRA,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, that you're not just saying, no way, we'll talk about it?
Oh, absolutely. Everything, we're willing to negotiate in order to bring success to the project. That's what we all want. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, what the residents and the people in North Canton want is they want that project across the street to be developed. That's what we want. But at the same time, first things first. EPA regulations, building code, fire code, those are non-negotiables. Whether the project moves ahead this year or not, those requirements are going to be met. And
you've had that kind of a conversation with Stu Lichter face to face, right?
Yes. And also Patrick DiOrio. Now, I haven't talked with Stu Lichter for a number of months. It was actually dating back to last August in 2017, because we've made it clear that what we want. We want the project. We want the code requirements met. And Patrick DiOrio has been working with his staff to make sure that comes to completion. But we want to be straightforward, keep people informed on what we're doing with the city, and again, we're going to make sure the requirements are met. Those are non-negotiable. And as far as the completion of the project, we're excited about it. We want to see it happen.
Okay.
Sooner rather than later.
Okay. David Held, Mayor of North Canton.